Good evening and welcome to race number 2 of season 12 of SimZone GT3. This evening we're here at Brands Hatch. I'll be the commentator this evening, as I was last week. Don't know what's changed there. We've just got about 2 minutes left of the free practice section, and then we'll be jumping straight into qualifying. Again, another nice and full grid. There are currently 25 racers who are ready to battle it out on the nice road circuit. It's in between races. There's no penalties to update you on, and the standings are, well, there's only been one race. It's exactly the same. With Frederick leading the pack, 106 points, followed by Nina and then running at that top 3. In terms of times, when we get into qualifying imminently, we're looking for the 126 range for lap times. In practice, you can see a few people look at 123s. So it's about what I expect. No one's really far. And again, quite a nice competitive and split grid in terms of cars, which is always nice to see. And this week as well, you'll notice that there are less invisible leaders. So that last week. Hopefully this week, just have more of them ready to go. Just as we're last. Rounding off this 60 more seconds of free practice before qualifying. And again, qualifying is just 15 minutes. So nice and short. We're going to get maybe 4 or so, maybe 5 laps in. Times. Traffic is a problem on this track because it's quite narrow. So I suspect we'll see a few shenanigans here and there. I'm not going to make any comments about the current standings and free practice. I think this is free practice. Even if it's free freeze. And 10 million again, thanks to the glory of Assetto Corsa. For this evening anyway. Brands Hatch always tends to be certainly Paddock Hill Bend into Druids is always interesting lap 1. Looking forward to seeing how the top 3, which had it easy last week, manage this week. Okay, as you realise I have to drive straight into my round. Thank you, Assetto Corsa, as qualifying gets underway. Let's pick up Stuart. Pick up some randoms to leave. Not that that's going to mean a lot. Let's see. What can we say about that? It's got corner names that I will actually manage to remember this time around. So it's a race, it's a circuit I'm familiar with in terms of action zones. They're pretty much it. Just the layout. You can see some high disconnects here. Certainly down buildings drop. You see these cars screen right down. From bend, you take it almost flat out. Almost flat out. Always interesting to see who likes to risk it there. And the same thing you said for Ingledale, Stirling Bends, all of that region. Should start seeing laps beginning of Melbourne here in the Ferrari, currently standing 3rd overall in the season. It's 3rd now, it's not sure, is it? Flying out. We'll follow that one for a time. and see how they do. Here he is, getting the braking zone just right in Honeykill Bend. Down towards Druids, keeping it left, picking that braking zone just near that board. Trying to tuck right in. Again, very big action zone, depending on what's happening. Taking it a little bit wide, getting in for the braking zone just in time for Graham Hill. We come towards Surtees. Again, a very uphill kind of left corner, left-hander. Again, going down to the Pilgrim drop in Hawthorne. Pretty much flat out all of this, bit bumpy, which driver's trying to avoid. Just like when you don't know where the bump is. Going more or less flat out, or at least lifting a little bit here. Down towards Westfield Bank, where you're trying to take it as flat as you can, taking as much of the curb, a little bit of backspin, touching the upper curb on the left outer side. We'll dab of the brakes here. And Dingledale. And then taking as much curb as you can here still. And then just picking a braking point that works for your clearways, which is a difficult, challenging corner. And just going absolutely flat. To see a lap time on the board. Melbourne will come in across the line with a 1:24.0, which is also our fastest lap so far. It's great to see. As we start to see all these lap times roll in. Yeah, as you see a lot more 124s come in. Stewart, Paul, the other Stewart also coming in 124s. Frederick, last race's winner of 124 slightly slower. And of course, we're talking in hundredths of a second here to Melbourne. With Stuart Packham in the Ferrari. Probably holding that P2 position with 124. So, very close times. Hopefully this is slightly better. I apologise if it's not. There'll be a slight delay as it catches up with what's going on. Let's wait to see if someone can confirm that this will fine. Can we get more infusing? Of course you can. Unless you've, that message is old and you've joined during the switch over into free practice when there wasn't much to talk about free practice. And it was pretty, a lot happening. As we have a yellow flag. Possibly just getting out of the way. As I did say, it's quite a narrow track. And also receiving a flag from Melbourne. And possibly also just getting a reset on as Nino does well to get into the 123s there, 123.7. 2 lap times we missed, so I was just trying to see if I fixed the audio problem, so I do apologise. Any mention of that audio issue? We see another yellow flag from Christian here in the Ferrari, facing the wrong way, in a very unhelpful position, the racing line. See if we can drag back just a little bit, as it seems to my game is disconnected. That is fantastic. Whoa! Replay has worked, and we have caught the end of what happened there. Not sure why my game cut out. It's taking too much speed. Game struggled. Still just to confirm if it's okay. No, it's not. I'm gonna have to walk away and check. Comes to the board. Melbourne still front, 123.5, improving on the 124 they set earlier, so it's holding on to pole. Frederick now getting P2 for 123.5. Great to see. Fighting hard and changing times, barely anything separating him and Melbourne. Nino, who had second last time, currently in third, I just pulled off to the side there. We sort of resets 123.6. Most of these drivers, compared to last time, are all, well, in fact, the top 6 are all in the 123s. So very close field. And then beyond that, 124s are all the way down to about 13th under the 25 drivers. I see lots of yellow flags. I think it's just people recent. Okay. Hopefully, these audio levels have kind of fixed themselves. I can only guess. Seven minutes remaining. Engine's still too loud. Okay. How about that? Really duck that one down now. Wow, about 15 decibels. I only just hear you now. Okay. Very nice, isn't there? The audio settings were correct as of pre-broadcasting, and I'm not sure what happened there. So I won't touch it now because there's a slight delay. But I've now put it at what should be appropriate levels. I mean, like I said, I didn't change anything from last week. And last week it seemed okay. Probably just can't for that. That's much better, isn't it? What, as in the engines or me? No, probably the engines. I'll put it a few minor decibels down. There's a delay, so I'll wait until you've confirmed, and apologies for using this as sound engineering. Top 3 remains the same. No one's really improving either. Melvin, Frederick, Nino, no one improving. Stuart Packen's coming up here, but holding pretty steady. My engine's more than mine. Okay, sorry about that. That is definitely a sign that something has gone askew in the audio settings. Like I said, they were originally the same. Sure why they had gone and broken. You see a yellow flag there at the back, probably just stopping off the racing line there. Looking further down. Still the 123s now, going up to P8. Even more drivers in that 123 zone, which is fantastic to see. No one's really splitting the field and disappearing a second ahead yet. But all of that can change. One of the major improvements. Yellow flags here, probably just getting off that racing line down at Clearways before starting their own flying lap. Ryan here in the Ferrari, who I called last week, currently standing. They came in 10th, so good to see him up in 5th. Maybe Brands Hatch is a track they're a bit more confident / familiar with. It's got quite an improvement from, well, at least finishing P10. Couldn't comment on qualifying for last week. The standings of the last race to hand for the overall results. And last week I made a comment about how I wasn't 100% sure on the point scoring. The point scoring is 105 points for first, going down to 1 if there was 50 drivers, but there's not, and then an extra point for the fastest lap. Hence why Frederick has 106 instead of 105 points, because he also had fastest lap last week. Fastest lap in the race. Up the grid, Frederick here, currently P2, is up slightly on the delta of the last lap, 123.4. They're literally looking for about 0.05 of a second for pole positions. It looks like they've just backed off just a little bit. There is only 3 minutes remaining. possibly looking for some clearer traffic. Sorry, to be clear of traffic. To go for a flying lap, just to make that small difference. It's all they need. Small bit amount of difference. As we also see Melvin slowing down, preparing for a lap, knowing that this is probably the last flying lap they're going to manage in this last remaining 3 minutes. Follow both of them. Frederick is up 100th almost on the Delta, which is exactly what he'll need to secure pole in this possibly last flying lap. We don't see any other large improvements across the board. Everyone pretty much sitting steady on the 123s. Even the track hasn't changed majorly in terms of temperature, and it was already optimum, so most people have already done a lap on the optimum track. So, only time will tell. As Frederick is 0.2 up on the previous lap, as we see some go a little bit wide behind. Hence why trying to get those traffic space gaps is more than important on this Brands Hatch track. Dingle Dell, down towards Sterling Bends. Kind of dropping, it looks like he just lost that half a second, and in fact it looks like he's resetting. He completely dropped down for that last corner there. And he's probably retiming and realigning everything to go again after kind of abandoning that lap at the last minute. He almost has someone tailgating him as well, which, well, they pit, so it doesn't matter. As we enter the last minute, this will pretty much be everyone's last flying lap, as it looked like he abandoned the last one. Other places we're seeing improvements. Stewart, Packham, currently P4 in the Ferrari, almost 0.2 up on the previous lap. They'll be looking to improve. Marginal gains can be the difference right now between P4 and P1. See a yellow flag for Nino. Looks like he's also just trying to get traffic clear so he can get a clear run. As we pick up Frederick, coming down towards Hawthorne's Bend. Delta is pretty much 0.2 down, which isn't going to be enough for pole. As we see Melbourne further back admittedly, but Melbourne is currently up on the Delta of their best lap, the 123.3, which is currently pole. So we see yellow flags from behind. Nino definitely setting up for a lap, with only 38 seconds remaining, letting everyone whiz past them. And there's them setting the flying lap. Frederick coming to the end of his. Currently his Delta is down 0.2. Not going to be good enough to steal that pole from Melbourne. As he pits, I think he's accepted there that P2 might just be good enough. As Melbourne, about to finish his lap, will be also his personal best, meaning that he will further strengthen his pole position. In fact, yep, he's pretty much kept that constant. Improved slightly, 123.2. The only other person who could steal from him, or even steal P2 here, is Stewart, currently P3. Ever so slightly up in the Delta, doesn't look like it'll be enough to secure any higher than P3. As they come down clearways, Clark Curve. What time are they going to get? And they steal P2, front row, 123.4. Stewart Packham there, stealing that P2 from Frederick right on the last lap, right towards the end. Who else do we see still out? Who can make improvements? We'll see him here, currently P12. Watching out for traffic as someone goes spinning. Luckily, they stay off the racing line. We see him is up in the Delta by 0.3 to almost half a second, coming towards the end of their last flying lap here in qualifying. Currently P12, but even a small gain, because they're already hitting 123s, could be significant for them. Let's see, coming down this last bit of Brabham. And they get P4, really showing the track ramping up at the last minute there. Went from P12 to P4 on the final lap. As that closes off qualifying. But Melbourne's still out, because why not? But that's our top three at the moment. Melbourne, who was started P3 last time. We have Stewart, and we have Frederick. So quite a difference in... get rid of that language temporarily. Quite a difference to what we had last time, as we're going to switch to the track introduction as we get things ready for the race. Alright, thanks for everyone just pitching in on the audio issues. Sorry about that. We shall just be starting in 55 seconds. We're just going to switch over now and get ready for this race at good old Brands Hatch. Just going to make those slight adjustments. And hopefully that'll be better. Not that you can actually hear anything from the race currently. But thank you, I do appreciate you guys just dropping in. Just telling me that it's slightly wrong. As everyone starts getting their engines on. This should be a great hour-long race. I do love seeing races at Brands Hatch. They're always fun, especially being there in person, not to brag. Sitting on clearways. And I know that racing on the track and watching racing on the track is fantastic at this circuit. As we'll just be waiting for, hopefully. Let's say as everything's a bit broken all of a sudden. Melvin to lead the pack off. As I, for some reason, I'm being told that the stream is not being sent information from the racing client, which is far from helpful because it's going to switch to auto direct. And for the start of the race, that is bloody annoying. Can only apologise, I have not had this issue before. Where it is saying that I am no longer connected to the game. God damn it. as it's saying that my game client has stopped sending data. As it takes on a mind of its own, that's far from helpful. Technology, eh? Can't live with it, can't live without it. But I'm going to have to take a technical break, which is unbelievable, and restart my client because it has stopped sending data. And I can't seem to have any control over what is on screen. What I can do is sit in this position with Melvin. I'm so sorry. It is far from professional. We'll get the race start from Melvin's perspective, and then when it's quietened down a bit, I'm going to have to jump between. But my client is not sending data between the two, so it's back to old manual switches. As we see Melvin coming towards the start-finish straight here. And leading the pack straight away. The camera angles are going to be scuffed, and I apologise for that. I'm doing the absolute best I can, considering the absolute abysmal. I am going to have to pause for 1 second. What's going on? 1 second. And breathe. Absolutely not sure what's happened there. I am so sorry. We missed the start of the race, which is terrible, but the broadcasting client that I use decided it was no longer a broadcasting client. Completely lost touch of the race, and there was no physical way for me to back up it, so I apologise. We pick up now, up to Melvin still leading, Frederick in second, Nino in third, as we see a lot of fighting down the grid. Quickly we're going to jump to overall position gains and loss. Not that much at the start. We see Wasim had taken the position off of Stewart, who was in P4, now up to P3, as the race gets into lap and pretends that it never happened. Absolutely. But no deaths. That's what I can say. There was very minimal position changes. As we see a yellow flag towards the back. Awas Khan is currently off the track, coming towards clearways. As we see a lot of close fighting here at Druids. Looks like we're seeing just gone around the outside of Nino. Might have taken a position, but just edged out a little bit. And it looks like Nino is also struggling to fight with Frederick and keep Wasim behind. Coming towards Surtees. Really close here in the pack. literally less than a second separating these 5 cars as they all together as a pack come down Pilgrim's Drop towards Hawthorne Bend. Super close racing. Everyone looking for gaps around each other. In a very tight track, there's really not going to be much room for anyone to make any moves. Just looking for mistakes, people taking too much of the curb, of the gravel. You see just the distance, Melvin getting a gap, 2.3 seconds, which doesn't seem like a lot, but for lap 2, going into lap 3, that's quite a lot. In fact, there's basically no gaps from then till P14. Just one giant train of everyone trying to get past everyone. Trying to keep an eye on big position changes, but we're not seeing a lot of them. Just lots and lots and lots of close fighting. Looks like Wasim just slightly got the taking the outside line there at Druids on Nino. Looks like he's got the position, but Nino just carried more speed through Druids and managing to keep ahead and keep Wasim behind. The Mercedes seemingly more settled through Druids, especially coming down towards Surtees, with more speed seemingly coming through these corners than the McLaren of Wasim, who's now got to think about what's happening behind. If Stewart will be looking to get his P4 back in the Ferrari. Seemed like a small mistake possibly at the start, which we might have missed. Again, apologies for that. A small mistake which cost Stewart his P4. He's really trying to get back hard. As we look further back here, another Stewart, a different Stewart in a Nissan. Holding his own here in P13. Half a second separating him from in front and behind us. We see someone just ahead off the gravel, kind of cutting the grass, as it looks like. Everyone's gaining position on that Ferrari. Is that a Ferrari? On that Lamborghini there, who took the gravel. Matt there seemingly took a little bit too much speed. What did he do from Dingledale? Dingledale Westfield area. Yeah, Westfield area. Taking too much speed, gone over the gravel, and lost it looked like 3 positions as a result of that really small mistake. That is the cost of Brands Hatch. Small mistakes cost lots of time, and because everyone's so close together, it really doesn't take a lot to lose even more than 1 position. We saw Nino here is really caught up to the back of Frederick, current season P1 holder. We'll be looking to probably clear this course sooner rather than later. We see them also not even fighting each other, but also gaining a little bit of a gap from Wasim and the McLaren, holding P4 still from Stewart. Trying to look further back for other battles, so we don't just focus on the front. As exciting as the front is, you can see battles happening further back. Christian Brigger here in the Ferrari, chasing another Ferrari, with literally nothing separating them. As they come to end there, what will be their lap 4. Christian there just looking for little holes around the Sterlings. Coming down clearways, looks like doesn't really have the speed to overtake early on, so he's going to have to sit behind and hope that a little mistake or even braking slightly later in Paddock Hill Bend might secure this move. As it looks like he's covered completely off there. But that move didn't even cost him any speed. It just looks like Christian's going to have to accept his position for a little bit longer. As we see someone entering the pit or being in the pit. Awaz Khan, who we saw off the track earlier, seemingly in the pit now. As we rejoin P3, Nino fighting hard against Frederick in the Porsche. They've been pretty much on each other's tails for the last couple of laps. I mean, we're only on lap 5. But in terms of position changes, it's all been towards the back. We've had large position changes. The front especially is just keeping close together with the exception of Melvin, really taking off and disappearing as fast as possible into the distance. 3.8 separating Melvin in P1 and Frederick in P2 here. Admittedly, probably exacerbated by the fact that Frederick is fighting hard from Nino in this seemingly more settled Mercedes. They slide a little bit there over paddock hill, possibly carrying too much speed, which in fact is reflected in the gap being cut down quite a lot, just from that little overspeed slide. View from Frederick's wing. And very close. And very pokey Nino looking for those gaps. As we see Tom Curtin side by side here with a Nissan. Looks like he just had to tuck in behind, didn't carry enough speed down. Equally looking for that braking point, probably matching the braking Nissan in front. It's not going to do in this part of the track. It's a very hard part to overtake in, especially when you're two different cars following each other, and quite possibly as a result you're going to see if you're brake matching, it's not really going to benefit you unless you're in the same equal machinery, because you kind of guess the braking will be close enough. It looks like Tom's just going to have to sit behind for a little bit longer on ground hill there in Nissan. Say that as it looks like you got a really good exit of clearways towards Paddock Hill. Same area that we saw the gap cut down last time, when it looked like they were almost side by side, just after Druids. Maybe we'll see a repeat of the same action. Maybe the Nissan's struggling a little bit with this Sector 1. It was good to see racing all over the grids being so strong, especially only in round 2 of the season 12. So it looks like both of them also caught up to Ian's there in the McLaren. But yeah, it's about the same position, and maybe it just really struggles with Surtees. And now that they've caught a little bit of traffic, it'll be interesting to see how, one, Brownhill handles that, and if Tom can take advantage of it, as he's really close now. Both sliding slightly sideways, seeing a lot of the gravel. Rockler in the bonnet as he overtakes that. Absolutely awesome move. Nice and clean. Quite a dangerous and fast part of the track as well. Nice and clean overtake, as he's now probably going to have to fight to keep Dale there. Just a little bit longer. Looking further up, the battle we were following earlier with Nino and Frederick has cooled down just a little bit. Half a second separating them. Looks like they're both slightly more chasing down Melvin. That 3.8 gap is only closed to 2.6 now. As we see behind, we'll seem to Paul Mitchell, that gap being quite small as well. Little isolated battles, getting more isolated from other ones now, as opposed to that train that we had for the first few laps. We are only on lap 8. No one's pit yet. Pit window's about the same as last time, so we've got plenty to wait for. Melvin, reminder, in the last race was the first one of the pit at the top 10. Kind of jumping to see if an undercut could happen. So I wonder if anyone will have that in the back of their mind, that pit strategy. Although it did make a difference when the gap separating the top 3 is less than 5 seconds, less than a pit stop, it will be important to just keep an eye on what everyone else is doing, especially when it comes to fuel loads, tyres, etc. Admittedly, it's a dry track and warm for the UK, 25 degrees, but what can happen? As we see Paul here, Jason down Stewart, both in Ferraris. In terms of lap times, Paul does have the faster laps so far in the race. Fastest personal best of 1:23.9 compared to Stewart's 1:24.0. The last lap, Paul's being faster by about half a second. So definitely catching Stewart there. In terms of fastest lap overall currently, as you can see, it's Frederick with the 1:23.5s. So kind of what we were seeing in qualifying pace carrying over to the race, which is always good to see. As this battle is getting very close. All properly cutting down that distance, coming down towards Hawthorne. Probably just matching the braking there, looking a little bit squirrely there, Stuart. As they both take as much curve as they can dare do with a Ferrari around the Westfield Bend. That gap is a bit high. I saw a flash of a yellow flag there. So Melbourne out in front. And the gap's completely cut down. I'm not sure what we missed there, but that 3.8 second gap has gone as we're seeing facing the wrong way. Oh no, what has happened there? That is not ideal. Presumably, he's taken too much speed through Sterling's. So again, that has crashed. It is not my day. Whoa, yes. He took way too much speed through Sterling's and then tried to hold it, and it just didn't pan out well for him. Facing the wrong way. Losing lots of positions as he pits, understandably. As we rejoin, Melbourne is still holding position P1. Admittedly, with Frederick barreling down on him. His last lap was at 1:25 because of that yellow flag incident we must have seen for him. And Frederick's last lap was one of his best at 1:23.7. Not the fastest lap that he's done, 1:23.5, but definitely faster than most in the last lap. As we see Tom Curtin fighting in this small pack. We saw earlier, we named to the Nissan. Now going for the next Ferrari, they Eames. Racing close towards 30s. It looks like he's taking the inside line, which is quite risky as they collide. They collect each other. They continue, but that's going to hurt both of them there. Tom has gone ahead of Eames, but I wonder as... Oh, the Nissan spins. That is a massive crash behind it, clearways. Taking out Eames completely. It looked like he was hit on the side by the Nissan. We're going to try and see if we can get a replay on that as the game stutters, and this seemingly is a sign of things to come in terms of when my game can't handle it. Here we go. They're all quite close together. It looks like the Ferrari moved to the side and just got collected by the Nissan. I think the Nissan, admittedly, of Brownhill there couldn't have done much. There was nowhere for him to go, and as a result, he's collected the Ferrari, seemingly not on purpose, but that would definitely be one for the stewards. And also taken out the braking marker, the clearways, which everyone's going to absolutely enjoy. I wonder if we'll see any more yellow flags in the same position as a result of a missing brake board. Hopefully not. Hopefully everyone's remembered to have more than one braking reference point. We'll catch the bonnet here. Yeah, it's the one marker is now missing, as we saw just there on Melvin's onboard. So there's a possibility we'll see some yellow flags and clearways, but I have high hopes for the drivers, so have a look really well. But all that chaos has really moved around the positions quite quickly, in fact, as we see, well, admittedly more further towards the back, as a few of them have had to pick some damage. But the top 7 positions have not changed since the start of the race, which is just a testament to their track knowledge, I guess. As we're just following Melbourne around this lap, with Frederick barreling down on him, the Porsche Pine, taking a bit more curb, admittedly there, but nothing too dangerous. Behind these top 3 of Melbourne, Frederick and Nino, they have got a 4.2 gap to Stewart, who's currently in P4. Who started P4, looks like he got the position back. Stewart, who's in P4, is now 4.3 seconds behind the back of Nino, and this kind of like closed together pack of 3, which will be interesting to see how it plays out, because these 3 races obviously are the top 3 we currently have for the season. And we're only 41 minutes in. The only pit stops we had have been as a result of damage. So it'll be interesting to see who of these 3 pits first, especially when they're this close together. Of course, it's too soon though. As we talk about pits, we're only 41 minutes in. 13 laps. But we can get a lot of laps in an hour at Brands Hatch. As we see Melbourne there, go a little bit deep, a little bit late for the brakes. Probably had to do some very mild evasive manoeuvre just to kind of let themselves go a little bit wider than they would like, building a slightly nicer gap for Melbourne. Giving Nino a bit of a boost, getting a little bit closer. This gap is really small at the moment as well. Basically nothing separating these top two. Georgia and Melbourne. Nice clean racing is what we're looking for here. Side by side. Oh, looks like Frederick just has to back out there. Not exactly an overtaking place. Looks like he's also compromised himself here. Sterling's. But certainly Dingle is not a place to overtake. But he is right on the back of him. Melbourne making defensive manoeuvres coming down clearways, knowing that the Porsche really has got the better Xing. Currently, especially late race, has seemingly got better speed than him. Frederick still holding that faster lap, darting all over the track, getting that one move in, one move out to get behind, damaging Frederick's race to the point where Nino's caught up with the both of them. So, clear pass is very important here for Frederick. If he doesn't make a clean pass, it could cost both of them. P1 and P2. Nino right in the heels as well, so he has to think about attacking and defending at the same time. Although I'm sure Melvin likes the respite a little bit of Frederick defending now, seemingly, as Nino's quite closed that gap. Always cool to see 3 different cars in this top 3. I say that a lot, but you see a lot of races where all of the racers use one particular car, even though it's not a season with one car being forcible on anyone. This top 3 is quite something. Looks like compared to last lap, Frederick didn't really close the gap as much, but it also looks like he took more speed through clearways as Nino seemingly is coming around the back here towards Paddock Hill Bend. Frederick having to move to the inside to just defend and close off the Mercedes there of Nino. Damaging himself as he takes a lot less speed than he'll probably like and goes more on the gravel. As we've seen earlier, the Mercedes more settled, I was about to say, until he had a little bit of oversteer there. Bollards in the road, I don't blame him. Really one pit braking marker down, and now all the bollards are down. Looking further back, we see a few pits, early pits a minute because the pit window just opened. We see Alan Breen in the pit. We see Alexander leaving the pit, currently P20. And I say that I'm going to rejoin here Frederick because the gap is nothing, absolutely nothing here coming down towards Sterling's Dingledale. The corner. Sterling's, where we saw a lot of incidents earlier, as Frederick goes wide, allowing Nino to come down the inside and carry more speed through. That's really damaged whatever happened there. Looks like he broke just a little bit too late, and it's cost him P2. Nino now up into P2 defending, and Frederick takes this opportunity to pit early. One of that's going to make the other top 2 do. It looks like he struggled a little bit through Sterling's. I've got the corner name muffled. And then he's decided that pitting is probably the best thing he can do for himself right now. So first of the top 10 to pit. And we shall see if that causes anyone else to decide to follow suit. We've got Melbourne now here. 1 second clear. Probably thinking about pitting sooner. But I only say that based on last race where he's the first to pit of the top 10. Frederick now pitting him that time round. legally there. As Frederick just comes out the pit now with a time penalty of 30 seconds. What have we missed there? Stop, go 30 seconds. Possibly speeding in the pit lane. That is going to be painful. A 30-second stop-go penalty, if I'm correct for Frederick, is not what he wants this early on in the race. That is going to cost him a lot, providing that is correct. I think he's the only person with a penalty as well. So we see a yellow flag of a Nissan behind. Looks like he's getting out the way or stopping for the other Nissan. Yeah, as he goes to pit with a lot of damage. So I think that yellow flag we saw earlier was him picking up a lot of damage kind of out of nowhere. We'll try to keep an eye on that. As you see Frederick now, of course, blitzing through the pack. That is a 30-second stop-go penalty, presumably for speeding in the pit lane. Possibly just as a result of him pitting possibly unexpectedly, as he pits again to get that penalty out the way. Understandably, he'll probably just want to keep his head down. It's going to cost him a lot. Picking up towards the front of the grid, Nino has cut down that gap, which was a second, down to almost half a second between him and Melvin. Again, it'll be interesting to see if any of these two decide pitting as the way forward, as Nino decides to pit. Hopefully not accidentally getting a stop-go penalty. Melvin now out in the front, leading with a gap of 8.1, just Stewart in second. Both of his contenders for this for race win have now pit 34 minutes in, so coming to half race distance. It will be interesting to see if anyone decides to follow suit. We look for other battles around the grid. We see Johnny here, who we saw earlier come off. Looks like he's got the run on the Porsche there. Looks like they just touch a Druids. He has to go a little bit wider, take off a little bit more brake and a little less acceleration, and just seems to let him through. Possibly there was contact and he's decided just to let the Porsche through as kind of a courtesy. As we see Paul here catching up onto the back of Stewart, who looks like he's struggling with traffic. Because we've gone through the first kind of hit cycle, I imagine that we'll start getting a lot of traffic related shenanigans pretty soon. Also, this is a train of Ferraris. Always love to see that. As Frederick hits in P17 as a result of that stop-go penalty that he picked up. Paul pitting. Yeah, I was going to say it looks like he was preparing for a pit. Probably noticing all the other top drivers pitting. Melvin starting another lap, still is in pit. Maybe he's going along after going first last time. Makes sense. Or he just wants to get beyond half race distance before he starts thinking about pitting. Nino's out of the pit. That's not Nino. That's Nicolo. Going names confused. Nicolo and P3 currently in the Ferrari, who has not pit yet. Trying to pick up Nino. Nino is currently P11, who was P3 behind the battle of Frederick and Melvin. He's pit, now P11, trying to cut his way through some of the drivers which don't have lap times similar to his, but he's going to have to fight through as, you just see that, McLaren flashing his headlights a little bit, probably not happy with getting overtaken like that at the beginning of the lap. Pikehill Bend is quite treacherous, especially for the braking zone, but a reminder that excessive flashing does get penalised, as far as I'm aware. This is a certain amount which is acceptable. We'll pick back up Nicolo earlier, who I can use someone else. Half a second, separating him and Stuart Packham, also in a Ferrari. Neither of these drivers have yet to pit. And I'm sure it's on their minds that they will need to pit eventually. Like it will be for Melbourne. It's not that he's going to pit anytime soon, seemingly. As we see Tom Curtin pitting there, who was P6. Had a little issues earlier, but was kind of flowing around the top 10 pre the pit window opening. Frederick is still back in P17, closing a gap to P16 of about 11 seconds. Looks like Nicolo might make up this position. Coming down Hawthorne Hill. Quite a tight corner. We've seen overtakes here, especially from the top three earlier. Not to say it can't be done, but following a driver through here is trusting a lot in your braking and their braking. As he backs out there, admittedly, probably just looking to get a better exit just before Sterling Bend. Both equally matched. That back out was probably just a little bit of a caution because of the nature of Dingledale being as aggressive as it is, as it doesn't matter anyway because Stuart back in the pits. So he gets P2 with less fighting, so probably worth it that he did not. As we also see Melvin pitting, which I did not notice. Melvin pitting was P1, leading the race, now pitting. So interesting to see where he comes out as Nicolo now leads the race. He started P6, so up 5 positions, yet to pit. But he would benefit from not having any issues fighting with Stuart just there when it wasn't quite needed. Equally, he'll probably want to pit as we've gone past half race distance just now. 29.40. Don't be fooled, that Lamborghini behind him is a back marker. He's not being chased, although it doesn't mean that he won't edge him on to go a little bit faster. As we see Nino, who pit in P3, is now back into pit 3. Fantastic, of course, benefiting from a lot of the other people pitting. We'll be looking to see where Melbourne comes out. Melbourne is now out the pit in P4. Only 2.3 seconds from him to Nino. Nino pitted in P3 and is P3. Melbourne pitted P1 and will have to make up that time. On the other hand, Frederick, who unfortunately had the stop-go penalty earlier on, is now on P16. What's Muggle doing? Let's have a gander. That's Matt. I'm looking for a dot M. They don't seem to have them on here. And I've started racing under a different name. I unfortunately was not to see them. I've seen that you have unfortunately pitted. I can't seem to see the driver you're referencing, so I apologise. As we see that gap really close down there with Paul. Right in the back of the other Ferrari. Renato. Also with a Ferrari tailing him. It's going to be quite a close as we see a crash behind. One of the Ferraris of that close pack losing a little bit. Not really sure what happened there. As we're going to follow these two Ferraris starting at their lap 22. Paul Mitchell started not in P7, but started in P5. The pit stops didn't quite play into his favour. Whereas Renato in front, up 14 positions from the start of the race. He started P20. He has not pit, however. So it's not necessarily a lost battle, but it will be very important that Paul is cautionary on this battle as he overtakes there. Renato getting the move done and moving up probably towards where he was earlier on pre the pit window. Joining the front, Nicolo, still yet to pit, still leading. Good for him. As there's 40 seconds. What is my timing doing? 40 seconds separating him and P2, which is just pit. 46 seconds separating Nino and Nicolo, who was yet to pit. So I'm not sure what we've missed, 'cause it's quite a significant gap, if it is true. Let's double check there. Not showing up there. Never mind. No big loss there. Looking to see where some of the other early pitters have come out. Frederick's got back to P14. Melvin is 3 seconds, not really closing the gap to Nino, with 26 minutes remaining on lap 23. Just shows the power of pitting as Nicolo pits, which is good to see. Nino will, in theory, acquire that lead. As we see, it tells me he's lost connection. Oh no, I also lost connection, so I know the pain. Hopefully he can reconnect, because there's still a few drops disconnected. As we see Nino retaking the lead of the race, unless Nicolo pulls out a very speedy pit, but he won't. So Nino retaking the lead of the race, stealing it from Melvin based on pure pit strategy. So that undercut has really worked in his favour here. Melvin's racing and staying out longer, probably feeling the effects of the tyres here at Brands Hatch, even with the optimum track and no wind. Because Nino is now building the gap slowly to Melvin. Stewart is now in P3, taking over from Nicolo, who was leading the race, is now in P4, but is pit. So him pitting when he did has really paid off for him. As we now see the top. In fact, everyone has pit. Everyone has now pit. So the pit window is pretty much closed. No one has any penalties, as far as I'm aware. And the only people currently in pit are individuals who unfortunately got damage from earlier racing instances. As we just pick up Tom here. Tom Curtin in the back of Paul Mitchell. We saw them fighting earlier in a pack of Ferraris when they were waiting for Renato in front to pit. These two drivers have pit, both in Ferraris. Both with pretty similar best lap times, 1:23.8 for Tom and a 1:23.9 for Paul. For Tom, seemingly is just slightly faster as they come along across some back markers, which can be rather painful, especially at a fast part of the track. That back marker really has to move out of the way for clearways. As we see someone kick up gravel just ahead as well. Paul can be looking to fight hard to keep this position away from Tom, knowing how dangerous the braking points can be. Braking late, keeping inside and tight on this corner at Druids. Just giving Tom kind of indication that the braking points are covered off well, especially in these corners. As we see some moves happening here. They're in the good. Frederick is going to be trying to make his way back into the top 10 after that difficult penalty that he picked up, admittedly, for speeding in the pit lane. Rookie mistake. At least we think it's that. But that has cost him. Trying to get his positions up, especially leading the championship. He'll want to also try and probably retake fastest lap, which he no longer holds. He was holding fastest lap up until the pit window. And post pit window, Nino now holds that fastest lap. A P1, and he holds the fastest lap of 1:23.5, which is very much qualifying speeds we're seeing during a race. As we see Tom right in the back, that gap's come right down, probably as a result of back markers. Same place we picked up on their fight earlier, as a yellow flag for Stewart off the gravel. People making evasive manoeuvres. A lot of damage. Was that as a result of the back marker? It looks like Paul and Tom have also come to the back of that, as we have a little bit of a lag spike and that has some trouble. Yeah, he's collected the back of a back marker by the looks of things. Giving him some damage, lost positions, lost his track position, which has cost him possibly even picking up a penalty as a result of that. Losing position out as we see some flashing lights behind. Tom is right in the back of Paul here. Super close fighting between these two Ferraris. Really taking as much curve as they can through Dingledale. Holding up for Sterling's. No longer a back marker in front of that is Stewart, who we saw having an incident earlier, so they've caught up to the back of him. He would be nursing damage as well. Spall's going to have to try get round him. Stewart's not going to defend, or he might, depending if he decides pitting isn't for him. Looks like he's going to defend. Just holds off, actually, Tom there a little bit. And he doesn't hit. So he's probably nursing the damage. But almost like a defensive help there for Paul. As we also see closer fighting at the back. It's probably thrown him off a little bit. But it's given a little bit of breathing space for Paul. Much needed with such similar fastest laps between the two, especially when the last lap he had a 1:24.8. And that last clearways incident with the with Stewart cost Tom almost a second. As Tom gets right in the back of Paul again already. Coming down Hawthorns. As the pit window is now closed. Looking further back, we see Al Breen here, P17. Looks like he's going to make a move. Oriato, who we caught up with earlier. Very close fighting, almost going 3 wide there through Westfield. No match for them, 2 wide for Dingledale. Looks like a little bit of collision as the other Ferrari goes wide. Both go on the gravel. And he has to collects the other Ferrari, both going sideways, a little bit messy there. Looks like Albreen and Thomas gains the positions there. Renato really lost out from that free Ferrari battle there over P16. Contact from all 3 drivers. It was difficult to see with the angles who was to blame. Elbows out for sure, as we see one of the Ferraris go a little bit wide there. As they're all rather close, and it also looks like in the mix of all of this, either they are back markers or they're dealing with back markers. Talking of back markers, Tom Curtin, not a back marker, is fighting hard against Paul, also not a back marker. But they had issues with back markers earlier. Really seems like Tom's kind of sector 2 is faster than Paul's. And every time we catch them, there's 0.1 to 0.2 separating the drivers. Basically nothing. The pressure's really being put on there, as we see a little server spike there, as they both decide that physics is optional. Bang, quite a lot of speed there. Sliding ever so slightly at Dingledale. Sterling bends, taken smoothly. Holding off any angles or possible late braking moves from Tom. Super important in such a small track that you get these braking zones just right. That you defend and don't open yourself up for a possible collision and collecting the other driver. Moving off the racing line, moving on the racing line. Really closing off there for Paddock Hill. That you've got to be careful not to compromise your own speed, especially Paddock Hill. Making sure you get right just here for Druids to fend off other fights. This is now a fight for P4. I think previously there was a few drivers between them, being back markers, people yet to pit. It's really clear out in front of them. As again we see, yeah, the gap really comes down there at Surtees. Tom seemingly stronger around Surtees. Hawthorn isn't the place to make a move at all. It's too fast and it's too tight. They both take a substantial amount of gravel there, and it looks like Tom has got the jump there on Paul. Both of them took the gravel, but Paul more so, costing him more speed, and Tom now pulling out ahead and probably looking to build as much of a gap as he can. But good clean fighting, especially in quite a difficult part of the track, that kind of Hawthorn to Westfield Bend area. Looking further back, we have a yellow flag as Albreen is facing the wrong way. just coming out of 30s by the looks of things. Looks like the battles we were seeing earlier with the other Ferraris again force him to be collected by another Ferrari. He spins again on the racing line, just getting out the way of other drivers. Lots of moves happening all over. Difficult to pick a particular battle to go to, but we are 16 minutes remaining of this race. Lots has happened. And it's difficult because we just have to collect ourselves and see where we are. And try and pick one of many battles to watch. Because there are many, many battles to watch here. Let's have a look. Further towards the front. How's Nino doing? P1. Holding steady, 3.7 gap to Melvin. Kind of the same it was a couple of laps ago, on lap 31 here. 15 minutes remaining. I said we'd get maybe to 40, 50 laps. 50 laps might be a bit of a stretch. We're certainly getting up into the late 39, 40 laps and so on. I'll say that and would have fueled correctly. I certainly didn't get a fuel calculator out for this race. But Melvin will be who did start P1 will really be... No, he did not. He started P2. I don't think that's correct. I'm convinced that I have been lied to by my statistics, so I must apologise for that. But either way, Melvin will be looking to close the gap, regardless of who started where. Nicolo, who we saw probably winning the most out of the pit strategy, P3, 19 seconds from him to Melvin, but he certainly did not start P3. So that's really worked in his favour. Really worked in his favour. Seems like it's settling down just a little bit. Whoa. I just killed the sound engine. That hurt my ears. Sorry if that hurt your ears. I'm going to have to readjust my headset. That actually really hurt. Like a gunshot. We're joining Dell here in a Nissan, which is the closest battle we currently have on the track, and I mean that literally 0.3 seconds separating them, whereas most people are separated by more than a second. Dale just here looking like he might just kind of let the Ferrari know he's there. Certainly looking to make a move within Sector 2, which is quite dangerous, almost going too wide through Westfield. Not making it stick though, the Ferrari carrying more speed towards Dingledale. Getting that corner just right. Both taking as much of the curve as they can. Turning as well, the curve is non-existent. You do what you want. Hoping that the gearing and enough speed is carried through to get the correct braking point. As we're missing a braking marker. The clearways. Looking like the Nissan not carrying as much speed through clearways. Dell fighting hard. Christian fighting harder. Just making sure he covers up the Nissan through Druids. Very, very easy place to lose a position. Equally gain one. Braking very important, keeping that inside line important, and making sure that you get that kind of like outside to inside to get you all set up for Graham Hill down the Cooper Straight towards Surtees. We see these two drivers again. Same gap, staying consistent, 0.3, nothing at all. That's literally a millimetre of driver error as they go side by side down Hawthorne Hill toward Hawthorne Bend. As it looks like Dale has got the position. Very smoothly, very cleanly, taking quite a lot of curb, going a little bit squirrely out there, down towards Westfield, but definitely keeping that position, trying to build that gap seemingly quite quickly, making the most of his seemingly stronger Sector 2 to Sector 3 Not to say that it's all lost for Christian there in P14, but it was quite a clear and clean move. See more action. Again, same region, Tom Curtin moving through. We saw him fighting earlier with Paul. 2-second gap, and he's caught up with the back of Nicolo, who took advantage of a very well-timed pit. With 11 minutes remaining, it looks like he is pushing for the podium. Frederick, who was P3, had the stop-go penalties, pushed his way up to P11, closing the gap, but doesn't look like he'll be in fighting in amongst these, as Tom goes round, goes for the long way round, paddock kill, doesn't make it stick. Nicolo going a little bit squirrely, losing some... Wow, and Tom has got the inside at paddock kill, very important, both braking late, seeing what can happen. It's like they slightly bumped off each other, as Nicolo flashes to say maybe some contact, wasn't happy with it. Late braking, both of them were really trying to hold tight on paddock kill, and the one who lost out the most on that is Nicolo. Not to say he can't fight it back, but Tom does have the faster lap times, especially the last lap of 1:24.1, whereas Nicolo was lapping 1:25s. Nicolo is doing very well to keep on him, still keeping that gap to half a second. As we see Paul Mitchell there in the background, also catching up with this fight. Seemingly the fight has cost both of them a little bit of lap time, a little bit of lap track position. P3 is going to be probably where we see quite a flashpoint as Nicolo goes a little bit wide there. Almost oversteer, just about saved it. Good to see. That's going to cost him as we start seeing probably Paul catch up to Nicolo again with the faster lap times. But credit what credit's due, Nicolo did very well to time his pit appropriately. Looking further back with a yellow flag, a spinning Ferrari of 4 in his green and yellow livery, just for the racing line. Ooh, as he spins on and off again, right in front of other cars. Not an ideal place. It looks like he probably carried too much speed through where he was. Getting off going again. Lost a few positions. Just going at Sterling's, yeah. Admittedly, Dingledale's quite a difficult corner. Carrying even the slightest bit too much speed through. The curb on the outside of the track really can damage what you get out of it. As that gap from Nicolo to Tom is really building. Admittedly, I would say racing incident. I saw him flashing his headlights after the incident paddock kill with Tom Curtin, but I imagine that it will be probably just passed over. Then again, I'm not a steward, so who knows. We see another yellow flag further back for Christian. Another spinning Ferrari, unfortunately. Just taking himself off the racing line. Back there in P20. Racing for Conquest Racing, so it says. Nice livery. Yeah, looks like coming up. Druids. They got it too much speed and hit a wall. Picked up a lot of damage. It's settled down quite a lot. Coming to the last 7 minutes. Nino is still leading. That has not changed. He's fought hard, and he's fought well, and he's got lots of back markers to get through at the moment. But I don't think that's going to damage him much, because Melvin, which you just see at the end of that picture, is almost under 3 seconds away from him, with just 7 minutes remaining. Melvin does now hold the fastest lap time of a 1:23.3, lapping much faster than Nino. That gap gets closed even more to just slightly dipping under that 3 seconds. Like slightly under 3 seconds. Not many other battles happening. Not sure there would be. Only 6 minutes remaining. Lap 37. Looks like we will hit the 40s as we, well, as I slightly predicted, with some very loose maths. where we're seeing gaps close. We're seeing a gap close here, with Paul catching onto the back of Nicolo there. Because the Tom to Nicolo fight that we saw at Druids earlier, with this slight bit of contact, really resulted in a really big gap opening up, almost 3 seconds now to P3. So all of this for points here further back. It looks like Paul might close that gap. Currently 0.8 to Nicolo, but again, last lap, Nicolo was hitting 25s and Paul was hitting 24s. So we'll probably be fighting for that P4, especially with only 6 minutes remaining. Large jump in points will be possible. Possibly not a podium, but you never know. With 5 minutes remaining, especially at Brands Hatch, with 1 kilometre/hour wind, you never know. So it might throw someone off. But that gap is closed to nothing. 0.3, 0.4. Sterling's Bend, clearways. 0.6. Going a little bit again. Admittedly, probably looking for a area where the move can be made with minimal risk of losing lots of positions. I'm sure that Nicolo has learnt from the last attempt at losing positions at Druids how to defend on this corner. Quite difficult one to defend on. But seemingly a weaker sector 3 for Nicolo, which is going to cost him, especially with only 4 minutes remaining. He needs to really quite hard to keep that position. I think both of these drivers don't actually currently hold any points from the season. They both didn't race in the last one, so both of them are fighting to get their first set of points on the board. As the gap drops to half a second. As we said earlier, it seems that Paul had the strongest sector 3. Already carrying more speed here from Dingle Dell. I guess all setup dependent. All of this area. All of this part of the lap is. Yeah, in fact, it seems like he takes a lot more speed through Sterling's Bend, which explained the slight lap time deficit as we see a position change. But I don't think that's correct because they were always apart. Not sure why it's saying that. It's saying that Nicolo's just switched position with Tom, but they already had position switch. As we see a yellow flag up ahead, someone's gone off the track. Looked like he hit a back marker. Not entirely sure. Goes in the gravel, takes all of the grass with him. That gap really getting eaten into between him and Nino. It did seem like it was a back marker. Yeah, it was a back marker. Christian, who we picked up earlier with damage, looks like he picked up more damage again. Again, we picked up the end of whatever had happened there. As we pick up Frederick here. Fighting for getting into that top 10 against the Lamborghini of Matt. Frederick started in the top 3. Started P2. I won't keep repeating his penalty, but he's paying for it, and he's fighting back hard, trying to get as many points as he can, as quickly as he can in the Porsche. As we see battle starting to emerge really in the last 2 minutes. Well, entering probably the last lap, as it looks like Nicolo took all of the gravel with him, which has given Paul a real drive to get past him as soon as possible. Especially if it seems like he's missing his braking points, it's going to be very important to pick where to do it safely to not cost yourself a position. As we see him swerving all over the track, trying to hold and defend really hard down Paddock Hill bends, making sure that he gets his braking point right and carries enough speed through so he doesn't compromise himself on the next corner. Tucking in tight into Druids. Both of them are. It seems although Nicolo went off the track, he really made up for it quickly, carrying enough speed that it didn't affect him too badly. This is the last minute. Lap 40, last minute. Nino out front. Melvin P2, Tom P3. Here we're watching the battle for P4. Two Ferraris fighting real hard in this last closing stage of the race. Almost looked like Paul had it at one point when Nico went wide, but Nico's holding him very, very hard. The battle we were watching earlier, Frederick still has not managed to get past Matt to get into the top 10. We enter a minute remaining. We'll see how many laps more we'll get. Nino is currently... Where's that? Looks like this will be the last lap. This, seemingly, will be the final lap. So it's all important to hold your track positions as we see it overtaking the back marker, not for position. Frederick really knowing that this might be the last lap or the last chance to overtake and get to P10, fighting really hard in the defences there of Matt, pushing a little bit wide and getting that all-important outside line for clearways to carry more speed through. But Frederick has him covered. Frederick is being covered off by Matt, who got the braking point just right, able to carry more speed through than the Porsche as they go side by side down towards paddock. Oh, they almost touched. They just keep clear of each other, and Frederick pulls just slightly ahead. Very close, very clean racing. Very good to see them going down Paddock Hill side by side as we enter the last 8 seconds of the race. It looks like this will be the final lap as he brakes a little bit. Nino, done everything right. Finished first. Little flash of the headlights. That's P1 for Nino. We're going to see Melvin come in P2. A hard fight. Fastest lap for him as well. Tom, who we saw benefit from a few battles and a few offs earlier, comes home to round off the podium in P3. The battle for P4 is going to be down to the line, but it looks like Nicolo is just going to get it. Nicolo gets the P4, and that'll be Paul in P5. P6 is Stewart. P7, we see Ryan coming across. P8 will be for Cody in the Porsche. Followed very closely by Johnny in the Lamborghini. And then P10, P9. P10. Sorry. It says P9, but it's P10. We see Frederick, who just got Matt, rounding off the top 10. A very close, very good end to a very difficult race for a few drivers. And we see Alexander here going across the line last, just to finish off the season. I will just quickly switch to the track as I wait for the drivers just to join in on the... and we'll just have a little chat with them. So, 1 second. Okay, we're just going to pick up the drivers. I think I will just jump in with Nino here. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm really good. How are you?
Yes, I'm great. Congratulations on your P1. Well done.
Thank you very much.
A race. It was. Admittedly, all of my statistics are completely messed up thanks to a result of me disconnecting at the start of the race, which wasn't fun to deal with. So, yeah. yeah. So, we'll first go over qualifying. I think maybe the others aren't quite jumping in with me. How do you feel qualifying went, first of all?
Shit. That's the only thing I can say about it. No, it went really bad, but yeah, I just couldn't fit the lap. Like I needed to connect the corners, but I just couldn't do it in the qualifying, so I had to prove it to myself in the race, and I did. So
yeah, because you started P3?
5.
Oh. See,
yeah.
I told you my stats are off. They said you start P3. Yeah, so P5 start, and then you've made the most of the pit stops, haven't you? Because you weren't the first to pit. Frederick pit just first slightly after a little incident, and then you've made the most of it.
Yeah, it's just luck for me that Frederick got a stop and go 30, because there was like already a 5, 6, 7, 8 lap fight between Melvin, Frederick, and me. And I was like, oh man, this has to stop. It's just nerve-wracking, you know what I mean? It's you're behind 2 cars that are also fast, and you want to pass them. But yeah, I just kept my head cool and waited for the opportunity that I could overtake someone or someone make a mistake. Frederick did that, and I overtook him. He went inside the pit, and I just drove a little bit towards Melvin, and that's when I decided that I wanted to pit. And my pit just went flawless, and also Melvin's pit was messed up because when the countdown was done, he started his car, but the car went off again.
Oh no.
So yeah, so that's my luck for today, but like, yeah, that's what I needed. So
Well, I mean, it was still a good great race overall. I think, again, judging by this, you didn't quite get fastest lap. You held it for a while, and then it looked like Melvin was catching up towards the end. And then both of you, in fact, all of the top 3 were struggling a lot with back markers. Do you feel like Brands Hatch had more back markers than, say, the previous race?
I would say it felt there were like I think I've maybe seen 10 back markers, but it felt like 20 because it's such a narrow track and you need to focus so much in the corners. But yeah, I think back markers can do a little bit more of their best. You know what I mean? If they see P1, 2, 3 coming up behind them, they need to decide way earlier to move out of the way because. Yeah, it's also for Melvin. He lost a few tenths behind back markers, but I did as well. So I needed to push again to get those tenths back. You know, it's that's what I think about the back markets today. But hopefully next time it will be better.
And then just to round it off, next week we'll be going to the Red Bull Ring, one of the new tracks, and you'll also be starting the race as the championship. Holding the driver's title. Do you feel like you're well prepared for Red Bull, the new track? Have you done a lot of racing on it?
Well, I love the track. That's the first, but I've not done a lot of practice. I only know that I still need to fix my setup, but that will come in the few weeks. In this week it will come. So
awesome. Well, thanks for joining us. Well done on your P1, and we'll see you next week at Red Bull Ring.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining the broadcast today. That was the round 2 of the season 12 of the SimZone GT3, finishing up there at Brands Hatch. Next week, join us, same time, same place, for the Red Bull Ring. Thank you and good night.